Hello, everyone. This is Alan Whitford from RCEuro.com, bringing you another in our series of thought leader conversations, and particularly focusing on the events we've got coming up at Social Recruiting Conference 2011 on Thursday in London. Today, we're joined by James Mays. Hi, James. How are you?
Hiya, good to be here.
Good to have you here. So, James, I know that a lot of people do know who you are, but for those of our viewers who might not have run across you before, who are you, and what is it you actually do?
I've been in recruitment for the best part of 15 years. The last 3 years or so, mostly focused around social media and social recruiting. Two of that working pretty intensively with Twitter, but more recently I joined Brave New Talent. So my role with Brave New Talent splits into primarily three parts. First is working with new customers. Second is working with existing customers to ensure they get the best out of the platform. And then third, working with the product team to look at what they're building, how that applies to the marketplace, and then take marketplace intelligence back into that product team.
All right. Now, Brave New Talent was one of our sponsors last year, and you're actually joining us again as a sponsor this year, and very kindly offering to help sponsor the tweet ups that we're doing on both the Wednesday night and the pre-game event, and then Thursday in the post-game event.
Absolutely.
Happy to have you there. And as you said, you've got quite a lot of experience in social media recruitment.
Mhm.
How would you say you've seen it changing over the last couple of years?
The level of intelligence from clients is rising so fast. 2 years ago, you could explain how to set up a Twitter account, explain how to set up a fan page, and make good money off that. Clients are smartening up very, very quickly to the fact now that not only do you have to have it, but you have to know how to use it, what you want to get out of it. And they're asking far more intelligent questions, which is great. It raises the level of the game for everybody involved. Recruitment as an industry has long suffered from overpromising and under-delivering. So I think social offers an opportunity for everything to be much more transparent.
All right. Now, does this mean that you think that your clients are actually now finally starting to get some real benefit and some real success with recruiting via social media?
Yeah, absolutely. Both with my previous firm and with this, I've got case studies that I can quite happily refer to where clients have run the numbers themselves, come back to us and say, hey, this is what happened, and we're really enthused. What can we do to do more of this?
Well, hopefully that's why we're all there.
Absolutely.
Now we're going to have, we're hopefully going to have quite lively debate in the afternoon, social media recruiting strategy, which ties right into exactly what you said, that companies now are starting to realize they have to have a strategy around the whole piece, not just, hey, I'm on Twitter or I'm on LinkedIn or whatever it might be. And
Yeah.
I think what's going to be interesting is we've got, some people coming from the recruitment side with, say, Julie Cochran, who's at Capita,
Hmm.
Gareth Jones, who was at the Stopgap Group and Courtney HR for a long time. We've got people that have come from more of the corporate world. Wolfgang Brickvetter from Germany, who ran SAP's recruitment across Europe for a number of years before heading down the consulting route. But we'll also have some techno, and Kezia, of course, possibly will join us on the panel from Accenture after her morning session.
That'd be great.
And then we've also got it from a technology side, that ATS side that needs to support and capture a lot of this data for a lot of companies. John Wolford from Silk Road Technology. So I think
Okay.
it's going to be a lively debate, and we're really going to want to focus on the aspect of strategy. So if
Hmm.
you had to give me a sneak preview of what you might want to focus on or where you'd want to see that conversation go, what would it be?
I think one of the key things that's really coming through strongly in almost any recruitment event at the moment is the overwhelming desire of a lot of people to see the model change, move from transactional towards community, actually take a long look at what a pipeline of talent looks like, where it starts to become interested in a company, how that engagement goes, and how you can potentially continue that style of engagement once the person starts working for you. So having people that are involved at the recruitment stage, attracting the candidate, understanding the candidate, continue to show some involvement and maybe looking towards the education and development of that candidate.
Do you think that there's some scope here still even to take this piece right through into the onboarding side and beyond?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. You're seeing more and more companies now getting smart with the education and development of their candidates and putting that material online. And social, I think, is something that hasn't even started to look at education yet. And I don't see any reason why education and recruitment shouldn't go hand in hand.
I couldn't agree more. I think it's to me, it's always been one of those great dividing points in recruitment that you talk to someone and they say, "Well, they showed up on Monday. My job's done." You know,
Absolutely. There's always been, or for the vast majority, there's been that straight handoff.
yeah.
Once the guy is started, once the girl is in place, we're done here. We hand it over. And I don't think that's necessarily the ideal.
Well, it definitely isn't for the candidate, that's for sure.
Absolutely.
So, given the knowledge, I mean, you have good knowledge of the people that are going to be speaking on the day as well as in your panel. Um, what do you think the sort of delegates and your colleagues are likely to really learn on the day? Is it going to be anything new, do you think? Hopefully, but what do you think?
I think there's certainly going to be some new stuff. I mean, one of the reasons why I particularly appreciated your event last year was the number of people who'd shown up saying, this is what we've been trying to do for the last year. This is where it worked. More importantly, this is where it didn't. And those lessons learned are hugely valuable. Yeah, there's some suppliers at your event, ourselves included, as you will always get for any kind of corporate show. But the real presence of those people on the ground who've tried it, failed it, and are willing to share those stories. That for me is huge. And I think we saw some fairly adventurous people last year. If they've continued along that curve, it's going to be better than ever.
Well, I think you're right. It's the thing that Vic and I have really tried to concentrate on is having this full story presentation. And I know that a lot of our colleagues in the U.S. are quite frustrated at events because the U.S. sort of PC police within the company sort of come out and go, well, actually, you can't talk about that because that's bad news. You can only start where the good story starts. And for a delegate, that's not really it's not the full picture, is it?
No, not at all. Not at all. If you're only getting the good stuff, you're essentially getting marketing, whether it's direct from the company themselves or via one of their consumers acting as an advocate. It's basically marketing of some sort. For me, the real interesting stuff and the stuff where you get the benefits is seeing where people went wrong, what they tried, what didn't quite work, how they tweaked it, how they improved it, how they revisited it. And that for me is a major cultural difference between the UK and the US. And I'm surprised it happens in this way because you're saying that with the US recruiters, they're not allowed to talk about the stuff that went wrong. Whereas actually failure as a cultural thing in the US seems to be far more acceptable.
No.
You look at the culture of startup businesses there, it's hugely different.
No, absolutely. If you haven't failed once, you haven't
intriguing.
been trying. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I've undertaken recruitment assignments previously where people have said to me, I don't want somebody who did it and was successful first time. I want somebody who did it wrong a couple of times and learned.
Yeah. No, you're absolutely right, and I think there is that strange culture in the technology businesses. Absolutely right, that is totally true. But I think we're seeing that the corporates being more wary, and perhaps maybe you'll have a comment on this. Is it this view and fear about where social can have an impact on the overall reputation of a corporate, and are we seeing companies just being a little bit more healthy paranoid? I guess might be one way to look at it about how social is going to impact on their overall company perception, and so they're not quite sure they want recruiters talking about it because really that's a PR thing or that's a legal thing.
I think you'll see more and more companies starting to use existing employees as brand advocates, actually active within their community, and it's something that some companies were starting to do more and more of. I mean, I think it was last year there was a case study that came out involving Vodafone and the way that Vodafone had worked, particularly with some of their technical developers getting involved in the blogosphere and actually supporting their recruitment activity in that way. And I think use of existing employees as brand advocates and recruitment advocates is a fantastic way to go, and social really supports that.
Well, it does. I mean, we only have to look back even 5 years ago. Microsoft was the very first sort of jump on board with letting their employees be open bloggers about what it was like to work there. Some of them became sort of blogosphere stars because of it, but it did mean as a recruiting channel they had 100 plus advocates talking about what it was really like to work there. A brave move, but also I think a very successful move.
Yeah, and I think Microsoft were one of those companies who, for a while there, didn't necessarily have the best reputation. Everywhere you looked, they were involved in a court case of one sort or another. So that kind of openness for them must have been hugely valuable in terms of repositioning the employer brand.
Absolutely, absolutely. So not a lot of people perhaps actually have heard exactly what Brave New Talent does. Is it just another Facebook? Is it just another network? Or what is what you guys do different than others in the marketplace?
Okay, so some people will look at Facebook and say, well, you plug in fairly closely to Facebook, don't you? The answer is simply yes. We like to use Facebook as a means of candidate attraction. You've got 750 million people on there, 75% of the UK's workforce. It's a great place to go find the talent. A lot of people don't necessarily want to use that for connecting with employers. They're worried about the privacy side of things. So Brave New Talent is a platform in its own right. It doesn't just plug into Facebook. It plugs into a number of other things as well, such as YouTube and Twitter for bringing in employer content. We'll also plug into LinkedIn to allow talent to create their own profile and upload that LinkedIn information or indeed a CV. In terms of differing from other platforms that are out there, LinkedIn, I think we get compared to from time to time. Are we another LinkedIn? No, absolutely not. The basic concept of LinkedIn is to allow one professional to connect to another professional. And Brave New Talent is all about allowing one professional to connect to a company or a series of companies that they want to work for. It's designed specifically to underpin an employee to employer relationship, as opposed to LinkedIn underpinning that relationship between networking professionals.
And is this, and thank you for that explanation, much clearer for me, I hope. Where do you see the recruitment industry going then? Is it going to be about these sorts of integrated platforms? Are we finally going to get to what I've been on the soapbox yelling about for 10 years, which is the candidate experience and the candidate being in control?
I think the candidate's going to get a lot more control over their own profile, but it will require the candidate to smarten up as well. You regularly see stories about Facebook data scams of people clicked on this and all of a sudden their information was published and they were spammed. And candidates need to get a lot smarter about where their public information is going. And I think recruitment firms being more active and recruiting organisations being more active on social will help candidates to get smarter about this stuff. They will realise employers can view their Facebook pages and they'll use it in a more sensible way. But obviously, it also help them to realise the breadth of their own personal networks and how that potentially could help.
Fantastic. Well, James, we're out of time for the moment. I'm looking forward to having you join us on Thursday, and hopefully you're going to be there on Wednesday night as well, or at least a few people will be for the pregame drinks.
So.
All right. What's the best way for people to get hold of you?
I'm on Twitter fairly avidly. I think it's a fantastic platform, so I'm James_Mays on Twitter. Or via email, james@bravenewtalent.com.
All right, and of course they can always find you by picking up the dog and bone as well. But all right, James, great time today. Looking forward to seeing you on Thursday, and hope you have a great afternoon.
Great stuff. Thanks, Alan.
Thanks.